Okay, let's go live. James speaking. I want to talk about Google's Notebook LM today because I think there's some really cool ways that you can use it and why I'm starting to use it to organize the videos, tutorials, courses that I create, and actually do some critiques on my own work to improve the videos and make it a lot easier, faster, and more fun to actually create content for you guys. So I'm going to do a quick introduction, again, kind of a recap of Notebook LM so that you see where it is, how you can open an account, the basic interface. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you something about the audio podcasting feature that everyone talks about, but I think there's some extra little tips in behind that make it especially important for us as course creators and tutorial video creators. And then also what I'll do is I'll teach you some kind of hacks on how to do more with your content that's existing and actually create some additional materials that are really helpful if you're building an education business. And then 3 or 4 neat ways that most people don't think of using an AI tool that can really, really, really up your game when it creates content. So how does this work? What's the basic interface? What are the things that we can do with it to create better courses faster and keep our lives organized, because there's so much going on so quickly, especially with AI tools. So I'm going to open up the Notebook LM screen here. And again, I have a complete video. If you go to trainingsites.io/join, there's an actual free course there. Where is it actually? Let me just see if it's, I don't have it open. I'll show it after, but there's a course that goes through in detail how to use the interface. I'm just going to do a quick walkthrough so that you see it. And then we'll get into the actual prompts and things that make this so much fun to use over and above something like ChatGPT or Claude, which are all great tools, but not for what we're doing today. So Notebook LM, if you take a look at the top here, we've got notebooklm.google.com. You need a Google account for this. I think it's available everywhere now. And what this is when you think of it, is exactly as it sounds. It's a notebook. And in that notebook, you have all of your resources, your research, stuff that you've done, the notes that you've taken. And those notes can be a whole bunch of different formats. I'm going to create a new notebook. I have 15 or 16 here, but I'm going to create a new one just so that we see how this works. And it says, well, where are your notes? You got a notebook, where's the notes? And we have to upload or give it at least one note. And you can drag and drop content here into the open source area or open upload sources area. And that's things like text files or PDFs, markdowns, audio MP3 files. And then there's also some direct connections again to the Google Drive, any links that you have, websites or YouTube videos, and then also just copying and pasting text. Now, I have to put at least one in, so let me just pick one so that we have. I'm going to upload a file so that we have a particular document that's there. And when we have it, we're going to get this interface. And again, this is one that comes up by default. It always has, as far as I know, these 3 panels. One is all of our sources here. And then the other one is the chat. Think of this as the ChatGPT or the Claude text-based interface at the bottom here, where you type something and you get a response. And then Studio is kind of like projects, but I think a lot more if you're using ChatGPT or Claude, where you can organize your chats into projects. This one's really cool because this Studio does 2 things, and we're going to use these extensively here. The first one is it actually creates technically a podcast or a deep dive audio conversation between 2 AI people that sound exactly like real people, a man and a woman, talking about your content. And then the other one is our ability to create additional materials in the notes area here that is specific, again, to our content. Now, if you're creating courses, video tutorials, that kind of thing, and you want a study guide, we can just go and click the study guide button, and it'll basically create it off of all of your source material, or a briefing document, or an FAQ after you finish the course. So these are quick ways to do things. And underneath it, you'll see there's some notes here. And this is where the real power comes in when we're doing this. So I want to show you one other quick thing on the sources here, just so that you understand a couple little nuances that have changed since the last time that I did it. The first one is I added one to get started, right? I can always add another one, and it brings up the same interface. And the one that caught my eye is the first time that I did this, it had source limit was 1 of 50. When I did this today, it's 1 of 300. So that means we can add 300 source documents. PDFs, text files, MP3s, YouTube videos, spreadsheets. We can have 300 of them as the material that the Gemini large language model, the engine in behind this from Google, it's going to be working off 300 pieces of content that you provided it. Okay, so you can add one at any time, and if you want to look at one to make sure that the content that you have makes sense, you can always do a click on it and it will open up the content to show you what's in it, and it will also give you a summary. And that summary identifies the key topics. So I use this at the start usually because if I want to make sure that I'm adding some information, is that information I'm even at it for work for, is it what I'm talking about? If you add information that is out of context or doesn't make sense, you don't want to necessarily add it. So those panels are always available to us. And I think the cool thing here is you're going, okay, well, that's great. I can play around with it, add my stuff. What can I really do with it if I'm creating online courses? Well, I'm going to show you something that I'm doing that you might want to consider that's going to make your life a lot easier when it comes to creating great content. So let's go back to that screen where we're at the main notebooks here. And I've got one created, and here's what I did. I said, you know what? Over the last 3 weeks, I've created, in this case, I've created a whole bunch of YouTube videos. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add all of the YouTube videos that I've created. And you can add up to 300, it looks like now, YouTube videos. And because there's a transcript with the YouTube videos, it knows the source details from the YouTube videos. And those are that information, those transcripts are the one that it's going to be responding to when I'm making these prompts in the middle section here. Now I want to just kind of step back for 1 second because right now when I'm adding these YouTube videos, it's taking the transcript and using the transcript as the information of the source file. If I add a brand new YouTube video that I did yesterday and there's no audio transcription available from YouTube yet, I can't add it because there's no transcription. So there has to be a transcription publicly available with the YouTube video. That's the first thing. Second thing is, these sources, I did some other videos where you could talk to a YouTube video. And it was one of the experiments at Google. Now that's really cool because they also announced the Google Gemini Flash model, which is experimental, it's in beta, and that one understands the videos. It's multimodal, so it knows who's in the video, what the different objects are, what they are in context, how they move and interact with each other. So right now, it's just the text or transcription, but I wouldn't be surprised if pretty quickly the actual videos that I've added here is also going to be available for the basis of the responses that I get. So that's kind of the first thing, is that, you know, most people are using it right now just to kind of think about, you know, how am I going to give a synopsis or a summary, create some materials. And that's something that you can really do. But the value here, I think, is this next step. So let me show you what I'm doing. If, for example, I have in the middle here, let me just close this. And again, this kind of information is available in the other video. But I have my main kind of summary based on the documents that the 14 sources. It just says, gives me a paragraph, basically, this is what your sources are about. I go, okay, that's fine, I get that. And it looks at it, yeah, it's accurate. That's what the sources are about. So I can do a couple quick hit things right now. I can give an audio or get an audio interview or overview, which it just basically tells me what's in the videos. I can create a briefing doc, and these are kind of like shortcuts. So instead of having to, you know, make a prompt below, it's basically giving me a shortcut to it. And a lot of people, when they're using Notebook, they just kind of cheat and use these documents. And in fact, over on the right-hand side, you can see there's some other ones as well, right? Create a study guide for me, create a briefing document, create an FAQ. And if most people, they just kind of upload their stuff and then they go right over and create it and cut it and paste it. Here's where the value is for us as course creators and people that are in the education business. I can also, based on all of these YouTube videos I've added, I can make some prompts at the bottom that give me more information or expand on my content. So this is an AI tool. It doesn't do a summary. It basically, I can ask it, say, what's missing? What are the strategies that I've implied throughout all of these videos? Or What are the things that are missing? What are the things that can be improved? What are the key takeaways? So it's not basically just telling me what's in it. It gives me examples of how it can be used further. So here's what I did is I put together a whole bunch of prompts that I can use and ask it here and have it give me a response. So one of the ones I did, and I'll show you these in a second, what additional strategies or tools can online course creators use based on the ideas in the videos to improve their course development process? So this is the prompt that I gave Notebook down below, and then I ended up that says, based on the sources, online course creators can use a variety of AI-powered tools to improve their course development. And it came up with all of these additional ideas, but these ideas were based on the source files I gave it. And it even gives references, right? So this is from point 6, and if you click it, you'll see the exact point in the video that that was particularly covered. So I'm going, wow, that's kind of cool. What do I do with it? Well, you can copy it, but the best one here, see where it says Save to Note? If I click Save to Note, guess where it goes? It goes over and it's saved in the studio here. So I now have this particular note that is AI generated content based on my content, but that AI generated content is enhancing what I've already done. So I created a whole bunch of additional questions and prompts to use, and we'll take a quick look at that right now so that you can see it. And I'm going to go to the trainingsites.io site so you can see where this is. I'll open up the courses here. And again, this is free to join. All of this content is free for you here. I started to put a course together based on what we're doing right here. And it's the NotebookLM course for creators. And here's one of the examples that I'm talking about right now. So how to collect and expand your captured videos. So this is the important part. I have my content. I want to expand on them. So let me enroll in the course because I'm logged in not as the administrator here. And I'm going to go on how to collect and expand on the videos. So dig down on your video sources. I can use these prompts right here to explore the prompts like concept expansion, give me a bigger picture. How can this be applied to your business growth? What are the tools and resources that are there that may be suggested? How can I start a business from this? How can I develop my niche from this? How can I set it so that I can scale or structure a business from here? I've got revenue growth, community building, AI and automation, personal branding. All of these particular prompts I can add here and get responses to. And if it's something that's of value, I can add it as a note. So let me just pick an additional one and we'll see what happens. So let me just use this one here. So this one says, using the ideas in this video, outline steps for an online education entrepreneur over 45 to build their personal brand online. So I'm just going to copy this and we'll go over to NotebookLM, and in the bottom, I'm just going to paste it, put it in, we'll get rid of the extra punctuation, and I'm going to ask the question. So again, it's going to the sources. It's going, cool, okay. What else can I come up with? And it gives me a big response here, hopefully, and it has all these additional things that maybe I hadn't considered, but I look at them and niche targeted audience, capturing the digital exhaust, which I talked about in the videos, YouTube first content strategy, how to do this, private branded campus. So there's great information here. I'm going to look at it and say, yeah, that's something that as a value, I'm going to save it to a note. And you can see it's over saved on a note here. So here's the first kind of takeaway from this is when you're doing this, use these prompts that I've had to expand all of the videos or the content that you've created. And remember the interesting thing for this is that when I added my sources, I added my own sources. But what about if you added someone else's source files, maybe a competitor, maybe places where you're doing research, maybe a website, maybe their videos, maybe PDFs that you've downloaded from other people or who are complementary or supplementary to your content. So this opens up, not a summary, but opens up and uses the AI tool to further expand as what we're doing. So here's the real neat one that's important for here, is that if I'm doing this and I saved my notes here, what else can I do with the notes? Because I've got expanded information now, not just the stuff that was generated. you look at the ellipses here on the right-hand side, see where it says my saved notes? If I click that, I can delete the note. But if I open it, one of the options that I can do is at the bottom, it says convert to source. So here's the second thing. Any of the content that we saved as notes, we can add this so that it now becomes part of our source documents, and that any further responses that we get are based on the AI responses and the responses that we've done. So create, expand, use those prompts, and then what you want to do is look at the ones that are important to you, and if you want to, add them as a source. Again, this is AI generated content that is based on your content that is being added back into your source file so that any responses now include that information. So that's kind of a cool thing to consider when you're going through on that. So prompt, save notices. And I think the one that's nice here as well is I asked for prompts to expand on it. The other thing that you can do is you can ask for a refinement of your story. Instead of just using the study guide or the briefing document, any materials that you want to create as handouts, quizzes, actionable addies, key takeaways, key strategies, summarize actionable strategies, you can use prompts, and I've included them here as well, in additional prompts in the courses to actually go and improve them. So there's a really neat way to take NotebookLM over and above the kind of default stuff that you get that is specific to your content and can make your work a lot better and easier to use. So I'm playing around with that and I'm going, great, what else can I do? I've expanded the prompts, I've added it to notes, and I've asked for some particular refinements to my story, like action items, like key takeaways, those things that are worded specifically, and you'd prompt them right here in the bottom, worded specifically to create outputs that I can use as a PDF, as a checklist, those kind of things. What else is there that I can use and play around with? Well, here's the one that I really like is when I'm playing around and I have these videos, what have I also included in my videos? I've got a unique style or way of presenting content that I've done over these past 16 or 17 videos that I added as source files. Wouldn't it be great if I could get an AI tool to look at those particular videos and say, hey, what kind of teaching style is James using on a regular basis? How is he setting up the scripts and the structures of what he's doing? How does he communicate it, as an example? Does he get audience feedback and examples? What kind of stories does he use? Everything about how I create these videos, organize the information, present them in delivering, the teaching style, even the video quality, I think is going to come happen. But you can create a synopsis of what you're doing in terms of the content that you're creating. So this is a really interesting thing, is to be able to go and say, hey, critique these guys' videos. I want them improved. So I'm looking at my own stuff and I'm saying, okay, how can this really help me? Well, what about if we had a prompt that said, critique my videos, teaching styles, and performance. So here's some prompts you can use with Notebook to analyze and improve your teaching style, scripting, and style. So what I could do is I could just take this prompt, first one, to do an assessment of my teaching style, and I'll go back and I'll just take a look at it and say, in these videos, tone, structure, and methods are evident, and how do they resonate with my audience? So I'm asking it to go look at my original work and say, what the heck's going on? Are these all different? Is there a unique style that's provided? And does it apply to my particular market or my group of people? So there we go. There's all of the stuff that's there. So you can look at this and go, oh crap, I'm not doing things right. Or, hey, wow, I'm doing pretty well. So there's a cool thing to use to improve your existing content by learning what you've been doing in the past content. And of course, this is my content. What if I added a competitor's one and took some of their videos and said, well, they're doing really well with their videos or their content. What are they doing differently than me? So I did it on myself. These are the ones that are important. I'm going to make sure that I look at it and I save it to a note. And I want to make sure that these ones here is conversational AI based on teaching style. So I'm going to open this up and I'm just going to make sure convert it to a source. So we now have the AI stuff for how to make it better and also some of the key takeaways. It's added as a note, converted to source. So these are now over on the left-hand side and also in with my notes here. Okay, so this is coming along. I got this there. What about if I have an existing script now? So if I use ChatGPT or Claude to create my YouTube video scripts or my actual scripts, what about if I added the scripts that I have and then asked Notebook to use what I learned about the way I present stuff to improve the scripts? So there's the next step that we can do is we can take, and we have this particular document, we can add as a source any of our scripts that we've created and basically say, hey, here's my script. Based on this analysis, what improvements do you suggest for my script to do that? And this is the really cool part because it's not limited to video scripts. Here's a couple other things that you may want to consider. Maybe you have a PowerPoint presentation. Maybe you have the video script. Maybe you have a checklist. Maybe you have a workbook. Maybe you have quizzes. Maybe you have any of your materials now can now be improved because I've created my improvement suggestions and the source documents that I have. So I've created a whole bunch of additional prompts for doing that, but those are just some simple examples of how this can work. So we talked about, expanding stuff. We talked about being able to basically critique all of my materials and then improve my materials. What's kind of the elephant in the room for a lot of people here? Time. I've got, in my case, 14 videos here. There's hours worth of content there. I've got maybe a study guide, FAQs and stuff I created, my strategic plan that I asked for prompts on. But the one that everyone really likes is they go, wouldn't it be cool if I had an audio interview or as a podcast that I could give to my campus or the people that I'm teaching, or a synopsis of the videos for people when they're not watching so that they can learn something from it. So when you're using NotebookLM, in the upper right-hand side here, you'll see audio interview and YouTube video compilation, which is my title here. So what this one does is I clicked the button to create it, and I'll show you what that looks like on another one. And this one created an 18-minute audio that is basically a compilation of all of the source files and the notes that I added and put it into a great conversation. And the interesting one for me now is that we also have interactive mode. And what that means is while the conversation is playing, we can actually interject and ask questions or clarifications on or in the actual podcast that's live. So how does this work? Let me just go in and see if this one here says. So here, I just want to make sure you see this. Audio overviews are deep dive discussions that summarize the key topics in your sources. An experimental, and it's not comprehensive. So it's simply a reflection that is generated of the particular thing. It's only in English at the moment, and you can give it what's called some special instructions. And that's what we'll look at in a second right now. So let me go here. We'll close this one down. I'm just going to go to another particular notebook. And let's do one. Let me just see if I have one that has an audio in it already. Let me see if I have this one here. There we go. Okay, so here's one where I put some additional videos in and pasted text. It's given me the synopsis. I've added some notes here. And over in the audio interview, you're going to see there's deep dive conversations and generate. Now, a lot of people may jump the gun, but when we have the option, we can say, what specifically do you want covered and how do you want this deep dive to come out? You can just have it go and do the default one or standard one, but what about if we said, you know what? Let's look at this particular source, AI in creating online courses or creating videos, maybe specific topics. I got 14 or 15 videos there. That's a lot of stuff. Or what about a specific audience? Tailor the audio that gets generated to over 45 online course creators or people new to starting an education business. So you can get really, really specific there. Now, what I did is I said, you know what, that's a really good idea. So probably what I should do is customize some special instructions for your deep dive audio summary. And what I did is this is a prompt that I used to basically go and tell, let me copy this. So I just click copy, and then what I did is I just pasted it in here and gave it special instructions. And then I'm going to click and make sure we're in the right place here. It has to be less than 600 characters, so let's take out some of them there. Thought I'd be able to have more, but hey, there we go. Let's try this. We'll do these ones, see if I can clean this up. When you're doing these live, sometimes stuff happens that you don't expect. So this is one of those cases where it did. We'll see if we got any more things that, do we have 500 characters? So obviously I got to get that prompt changed. I'll change it for you. I'm just going to generate it for now, just so you see how it works. So in the background, this is going to create the audio synopsis of it. And while that's working, it usually takes a couple minutes. If you have 2 videos, it's one thing. If you have 20 videos, it's another thing, because it has to go through it. And while that's working in the background, I'll just go back to the other one so that we can play it and hopefully go. And I don't know if you're going to be able to hear this. Hopefully you can. I'm doing these live, so sometimes the sound that comes from the source or the computer and the one on my microphone doesn't necessarily connect. So let's play and see what happens.
All right, everybody, so get this. Imagine if like your online courses could build themselves, so you could just focus on teaching. Well, that might be like closer than you think because of AI, AI agents. They're really starting to change things up in education. And in this deep dive, we're going to be checking out some videos from Training Site TV. Have you heard of that? It's hosted by James Muth, and he really knows his stuff when it comes to online learning. And he's got some pretty mind-blowing ideas.
So there we go. We've got an audio interview, 18 minutes long, based on all of my information that can now go out to people. So here's the one. Obviously, it's not perfect, but it gives you a really good start of doing it that you can edit if you needed to in another tool. But if you want just a quick hit on it, that's cool. Now, here's the neat one. If I go and I go to interactive mode, what happens now is NotebookLM says, can I use your microphones? I'm going to say allow this time. So let's see what happens here. So I've got my particular host here, and I can now play the audio. And while I'm
All right,
playing
everybody. So get this. Imagine if like your online courses could build themselves, so you could just focus on teaching. Well, that might be like closer than you think.
Whoa, did someone just break the fourth wall? Let's hear it.
can I use this for teaching in real life, or is it only for online teaching?
That's a fantastic question, and it's something we should definitely explore.
Yeah, it's not just about online teaching.
The ideas we're talking about today about AI and video content can be used in the real world.
Think about it.
Okay, so there we go. We have the ability to interact live in real time with the audio discussion for clarification. So those are just a couple ways that you can use NotebookLM to expand what it is that you're doing based on what you're already doing. I'm pretty excited about this because it allows me to create a lot better content. And more importantly, it becomes more focused when I'm creating other materials with the videos. Online courses right now are not just about the videos, they're all about the additional worksheets, checklists, FAQs, all of the things that get created around it. And remember, when we're creating agents in 3 months from now, 6 months from now, that library of content that we've created with NotebookLM is now part of our information that the AI agents are going to be able to work from. So I went over this pretty quickly. There is a course available at the trainingsites.io site that is here in the courses. I'm going to expand all of this. I got to fix the deep dive audio customization to get it under 500 characters. But this is all here for you to spend some time with, go through, use. If you want to start building, grow an education business, you got to learn how to use this stuff. It's not going to go away. So it's here for you to join. Again, like and subscribe to the channel. I hope you enjoy this. I do these every day because it's just a lot of fun sharing all the stuff that this lack of hair experience has gone through when it comes to creating online video tutorials. So take care and expect the best.